So I'm working on the tomato bed and needed to string up a lot more of the tomatoes. I got really far behind here. You can see most of these were hanging out into the aisle or hanging in over the center of the beds. You're gonna see a lot of suckers that are really, really big here. And so I went through and I clipped up the main stems before I did any trimming. That way, in case I break anything off while I'm trimming or when I'm lower and leaning, then I'll have a second stem that I can take over as my main stem going forward if this were to break off. Got a lot of tomatoes on here. I am having to pick these at about 50% ripe. So you're gonna see most of these are very green right now. So the color in the back there, that orange, that's what I'm going for, and I'm picking those every night. Otherwise the chipmunks are destroying them, and I'll take a couple bites out of each one. So I'm gonna come in and do the lower and lean. I'm gonna actually, probably first I will trim off all the lower stems, so as I lower them into the bed, it'll be all right. So I'm going to trim off those first, and then I'll lower and lean them, move them all next step over. And I did add a video, I'm not sure if I posted it or not yet, but I did actually cut a tomato stem here. And not that you can really tell with these tomatoes, but it did have a little bit of disease. So I'll put pictures in of that so you guys can see what I was looking for and why I made the decision to do that. And I came out here this morning and I saw this guy. And I'm actually going to cut this one down and remove it. And I will not put this in the compost. The thing about growing this many tomatoes this close together is if one gets diseased, they're gonna go get diseased really quickly. So for us, it's not worth it to try to save this one plant. At this stage, it's not looking great. We have plenty of others. We're harvesting close to 7 pounds a day on average, sometimes up to 15. And it's best just to kind of eliminate the bad early so that we don't get hit with the whole bed. A couple things to note is that I just cut the string here on the spool, and then I cut the stem there. I'm not going to pull it out. I'm not going to disrupt the soil. I took the one semi-ripe tomato off, and the rest of this is actually going to go over the bank, not into our regular compost in case it's something that would be spreadable into that space. Sorry for the late afternoon lighting. I know not the best sometimes here behind the hoop house where part of the bed's shaded. I know we had a lot of questions on some of my other videos about how I move from one side to the other. And most of it is about actually making sure that the stuff down here, you're gonna see half-eaten tomato. Thank you, chipmunks. But you'll see these vines are coming in from over here. So this vine here, hook, will get taken down and moved across. So let me see if I can do this. So there's a little pin here. So I'm pushing it back away from me so it lifts off really nicely. And then I'm moving this across the bed. Let's see if I can give you an overhead view. Across the bed. And I will fix the stem in a minute here. And then I'm going to hook it by pushing in that and raising it up there. I'm also going to lower it. This is usually a two-handed job. By pinching that, and it lowers the string down. So now this tomato is on this sunny side of the wall. And if I come over here, you're going to see the vine is now coming over here. I'm going to move and adjust that around the onions and around the other plants. Pull up the parsley. Need to pull out some of these onions. And so now it's coming all the way over. So this tomato we just moved comes down here, comes down, comes around, and follow my hand, and is actually rooted, if you guys can see this, rooted right here into the ground. So this one has moved 1, 2, 3, 4 times, I think, at this point. And then it's on the back, and now it has a lot more room for it to grow back up. I still need to come back and prune a bunch of these, but that gives you an idea of how I go around the corners. It's a lot better if I don't have to hold the camera and do this. And also it helps having 2 people do this part of it as well. So I do recommend, just to make sure you're not going to break anything off and everything works really smoothly, is one person takes it on this side, passes it to the other person, and the person on this side would adjust the stem or the vine. But I'm gonna get to work and I will update you guys in a little bit. Hopefully that was very helpful. You can see all the onions and alyssum down the center here. I'll also be coming in and picking a bunch of the onions that have fallen over, and I'm looking for tomato hornworms. It's that time of year, and thankfully we have been having good beneficial insects, and so the hornworms that I have found have all had the wasp eggs on it, those big white items. I can post a picture of that, but I still take them off the plants because those eggs might not hatch right away, and hornworms can do a lot of damage very, very quickly. So here you can see the big difference of the ones that I've pruned, the ones that I haven't yet over here. So these ones I've all lowered and leaned, so you can see more space above for them to grow. I've got a lot more to do. Well, it's getting a little dark to see, so I'm gonna head in. I need to get my other solar lights out here, but bed is pretty much done. Just have cleanup. I put 10 pounds of onions and the garage to dry. Got another bunny coming in, checking out all the weeds and tomato scraps I just pulled. They are everywhere. And I probably pulled probably about 6 pounds would be my rough estimate. I didn't actually weigh it, of tomatoes off the vines to ripen. So it's looking much better than it was. I let it get a little bit out of control. I should do weekly maintenance on this bed, and I didn't this past week, and it really showed. And the heat dropped and these tomato plants took off.